Welcome to Talkin Baloney.
Calvin Cocoa Pop.
This is Booty.
Oh, gosh.
What's going on?
No script allowed.
What are you, some kind of bot? Come on, people.
Oh, yeah. You want a pickle, you gotta give him a pickle, right?
I want to be a movie star.
Wow, that sounds so interesting.
Fresh and quick.
Cheese, pizza.
Part of the Baloney Nation.
Jim Deezy.
You guys still there?
Wow. Welcome to Talkin Baloney 2021.
Nice. It is our first show of the new year. Jim.
What a spectacular new year it is.
Oh, man. What a great start.
You can't go wrong with where we're heading right now. Still in quarantine.
Yep. Thinking of storming Krispy Kreme, but we're gonna have to wait.
Oh man, I'm ready for a road trip right now to Krispy Kreme. Wash it down with some good old Jimbo Joe's coffee, if you know what I'm saying.
I've heard you say that before.
Oh man, did I mention Jimbo Joe's also has hot chocolate?
I did not know that.
Oh yes, we have hot chocolate too.
What about smoothies? Did we ever get a definitive answer?
I think the smoothies are going to be a go. I don't think we're really going to have a choice on this. The Baloney Nation, in particular, Melly Mellis has spoken.
That's what I thought happened.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
So, Jim Deezy,
yeah,
you're rocking the Talkin Baloney hat. That is a new feature.
The new Talkin Baloney. I got something in my eye. I ran to the studio and here, boom, in my eyes, I got something. But I am rocking the new Talkin Baloney official Talkin Baloney hat.
And that's like embroidered, isn't it?
This is embroidered, folks. This isn't no cheap press on, nothing like that. This is the real
Not that
deal.
any of those products are cheap either.
Yeah,
Because they're available for purchase at talkinbaloney.com.
Oh, but we don't use press-on lettering. We use heat-activated lettering and infused lettering on our material.
Okay, glad to know that.
Yes, because you can buy cheap stuff, but we put 100% grade A quality merchandise on our website.
Speaking of which, you're also rocking the hoodie.
Boom, the new official Talkin Baloney hoodie.
Man.
Now, this is the zip-up version, but you can get a pullover version if you'd like as well.
I did not know that either. A pull-up version available.
Oh, yeah, available in small, medium, and my favorite size, portly.
I'm not sure if that's an official measurement.
I don't know, but you know what? I'll never forget when I got measured for that suit that day, and that guy called. He said, No, sir. You're in the portly section. I'm like, what the hell is portly? He's like, no neck, large shoulders, and short.
Wow.
Yeah. And I still bought a suit from him.
What do you say back to that?
Nothing you can say, but all right, let's get this thing sized up and let's get me checked out.
I do have some Talkin Baloney factoids for 2020. Talkin Baloney, we had 45 episodes during 2020.
Ooh.
For a total of 2,158 minutes of content.
Wow.
That breaks down to 129,536 seconds of Talkin Baloney.
And were we able to monetize any of that and turn it into... damn it.
But, now this is only in terms of the audio version. Our most popular episode was from March 8th. It was Wrestling with Coronavirus with our special guest, Melly Mells.
Really?
That was our most listened to episode, according to our friends at Buzzsprout.
Might I say, if you're looking to start a podcast, Buzzsprout is your hookup.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more during the break.
Oh, yeah.
And another interesting fact, so we're available on so many different browsers, apps,
Oh, yeah.
services.
Oh, yeah.
There was a tie for most used service to listen to Talkin Baloney between Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
You know, I tell you, this is a show that touches every spectrum of social media or whatever you want to call it. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that can't use these different platforms.
That's right. But we're available in so many places, it's almost hard to not run into us. If you,
Yeah.
Type in Talkin Baloney in Google and see what pops up. It
Talkin'
might actually
Baloney
be
fam.
us.
Yeah, boom, we're there.
Now, to kick off the new year, we thought we would talk about, I think you described it to me as your favorite show of all time now.
I'm going to say that this show has now beat out The Office, and I'm a diehard Office fan. But
That's
this
right.
show has beat out The Office for popularity with me right now. I am on the edge of my seat when I watch every episode. There's funny, there's comedy, there is action, there's romance, there's you name it, there's a little bit of everything. Can I say the name?
Say the name.
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
It is the best show, hands down right now, on TV. Whether it's streaming, cable, satellite, whatever. And somebody challenged me on this. Hit us up on the helpline.
Yeah, Baloney Nation hotline. You can call in to let us know. I should mention Cobra Kai is an extension of the Karate Kid movie franchise.
Yes.
So I thought we would spend the first part of the show talking about those original movies.
Oh, yeah.
Then in the second segment, we'll talk more about Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
And we won't mention the current season until the very end, in case anyone hasn't caught up yet, because we don't want to spoil it.
And I'm going to be honest with you. If you haven't watched season 3 already, where the hell have you been?
Yeah, it's been out for like 8 days. Come on.
Yeah, come on. It's not like we're in a pandemic and you're home or something. Yes, man, I'm telling you, it is. And I'm giving this show a glowing praise. I really am. Like, this is storytelling. And I know I talked to you about this offline a couple days ago.
Yeah.
This is storytelling at its finest, folks. But I will say this is the best storytelling I have seen on TV since, and I said this before, since the Attitude Era in WWE. It's right there, man.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen, and you can't wait to see what does happen next. But it all started 1984, The Karate Kid.
Yes.
We've talked about this movie a few times, but there are... so I've rewatched the movies recently.
I have as well, yes.
This Karate Kid, the original, is really a really good movie. It is a classic.
Yeah. It's the whole introduction to everybody, pretty much. And it's it's Mr. Miyagi getting acquainted with Daniel LaRusso and Daniel LaRusso's mom and why they're moving and, all that good stuff and him trying to fit in and, karate ends up being that thing for him, that hobby for him that brings him, into the realm of, hey, I can live out here, I can be happy, and dude, it's
it's actually So it's based on kind of a true story. The screenwriter himself was bullied as a kid and took up karate and learned. It was actually the Miyagi style of fighting, and that was the basis of the script. The movie was directed by John Avildsen, who also directed Rocky.
And there's the connection right there.
Yeah. For years, Sylvester Stallone has jokingly referred to the Karate Kid as ripping off Rocky, because there are similarities there, but
yeah,
it's a different story.
completely.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a Sly Stallone guy, but yeah, I don't see it. I guess you could say there's a similarity with the, he's gets beat up, gets knocked down, gets back up, fights again, But
I don't think Rocky invented that, though.
No,
I think that's been around since pretty much the first story was ever told.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much every movie that comes out on TV now. I mean, if you ever watch a Hallmark movie, that's pretty much the pretense for every one of their movies.
Now, there's more connections to Rocky. The music of the movie, both movies, was Bill Conti.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. And then the song, The Best Around, famous in Karate Kid, was actually written for Rocky 3, and Stallone turned it down. Instead, he went with Eye of the Tiger. Which,
I'm going to say, fit Rocky a lot better. If they would have did The Best Around for that montage, I would have had some problems with that.
Yeah, it wouldn't have fit.
No,
and yet, it is, it's perfect for the Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah, hands down. Perfect.
And it might have been my ringtone for a short period of time, but enough about that.
Eye of the Tiger is one of my ringtones right now. Every time my brother calls, boom, Eye of the Tiger plays.
You can't beat the beginning of that song.
No, not at all. Although I will say Apple iTunes ringtones, they do a little something to their music. Like, it's not the original. They tweak them a little bit, so they sound a little different. I don't know. Maybe it's a copyright thing or something. I don't know.
Well, they're probably doing it to save you money. That's probably what's going on.
I had to buy it.
Oh, you paid for it?
Listen, don't get me started on the iTunes thing, because now that I have an iPhone again, every time I want to download something, I got to pay for it. What the hell is that all about?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to Karate Kid. I'll get off on an Apple tangent, and that's gonna.
So, as you said, that first movie introduces us to all the characters: Daniel LaRusso, Mr. Miyagi, Johnny Lawrence, and Cobra Kai, led by John Kreese, the Vietnam vet.
Yes.
And
yes.
It's funny rewatching the movies now after watching 3 seasons of Cobra Kai.
Oh, yeah.
The movies take on a totally different feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, even watching Karate Kid 3 and 4, well, I'm calling the next Karate Kid 4 for the sake of argument. even watching them, and they weren't good movies, suddenly they feel like so much more important because it's all backstory for Cobra Kai.
Yeah, and it's like somebody tells you a story, and then they go back and they connect all the dots for you now. And it's kind of like, where are they now kind of a show. And you get to see it unfold again, and you're like, wow. And I will tell you this, you guys know I'm pretty hard on Star Wars. Now that I've seen Cobra Kai and how they do the reflection and go back in the past, I'm starting to understand now how Star Wars is doing it, going back and saying, so I will go out in this new year of 2021 and say that I'm finally starting to understand Star Wars.
You're going to watch the Star Wars movies?
I might actually have to go back and watch them now, because if you would have just told me some of this stuff in the beginning, I might have understood.
What? I think we showed you, Mad Dog and I made you watch Rogue One. That's like a great starting point.
I'm going to have to go back, and I'm actually going to have to commit now and go back and watch the rest of everything after Rogue One, and then watch The Mandalorian, so that I know what the hell is going on. Because I think this is going back to previous to everything. So Cobra Kai has taught me a lesson. So I'm coming to the nation now to tell them.
Wow.
That Cobra Kai has taught me something.
That's awesome. And I think for the outlook of 2021, for the sake of Talkin Baloney, you watching Star Wars and talking about it on this show is going to be awesome.
Yeah. Coming from a guy that wasn't a Star Wars guy. But I get it now. I get it why they're doing it. So now I'm intrigued. Now I want to go back and watch them.
because I have to say, The Mandalorian, along with Cobra Kai, are probably the two best TV shows of the last 2-3 years. They're the shows people are talking about the most, and if you're on board with Star Wars, man, that changes everything.
Oh, see, folks, I'm doing this for you, for our fans.
Now, Karate Kid 2, we should mention, because that actually gets some play in Cobra Kai.
Yes, it does.
Again, this was a movie, when I first saw it, I thought it was okay, but it was like, okay, all of a sudden he's in Japan, totally different characters. You know, Mr. Miyagi's still there, but everyone else is new. And it's like, Now, after seeing what's become Cobra Kai, that movie set in Japan is like, takes on a whole new meaning. And it might actually be one of my favorite of the originals.
So, Karate Kid 1 is Johnny. Karate Kid 2 is... Yeah, Chosen's Part 2.
Chosen Taguchi.
And, yes. I'm going to say, it makes... I mean, this is where I'm going to have a hard time telling people, like, if you haven't watched Season 3 of Cobra Kai, man, you are missing out on what is really going down in Karate Kid Part 2. Because at the end of it, you're left hanging. What's going to happen to everybody?
That's right. And in the process of watching Cobra Kai and seeing what happened with everyone,
you really need to watch these. Like, you can't just jump into Cobra Kai without watching 1, 2, 3, and 4 and know what the heck is going on.
Well, I don't want to say that. So I don't want to discourage people, like, saying you have to watch the movies, because the one thing Cobra Kai, the series, does really well is use flashbacks to the movies.
Oh, yeah. And
you can totally jump in to the series and be caught up, because they use they use segments from the movie better than any TV show I've ever seen use, like, flashbacks.
Oh, hands down. It's something you actually start to look forward to. You're like, okay, what are they going to do here?
Yeah.
What are they going to do here? And you're trying to guess where they might go with something. Dude, I'm telling you, it is, man. And the whole tying everything together in Part 2 of the movie, and then you're kind of, like I said, you're kind of left really hanging on where everybody's going to go after the movie's over. And you just think, I'm done watching the movie. You leave the movie theater. They'll come out with a Part 3. Part 3 ends up being a whole new character again. So now you're kind of wondering, like, hey, what happened to Chosen? What happened to this guy? What happened to this person? Yeah. Man, I'm telling you how the story writing in this is phenomenal.
And you mentioned Part 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Part 3, again, it's a movie. I don't even know if I saw it until recently. I know, critically, it was hated. It was a movie that pretty much killed the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
The story of it, because I did just watch it, is John Kreese's former student is now this, like, multi-billionaire selling nuclear waste. And he decides to prop up Cobra Kai and do this elaborate plan to get back at LaRusso and Miyagi.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably the most over-the-top villain outside of, like, an episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's really bad acting, and yet now with Cobra Kai and looking back at it, it's like an important piece of the story, and it's like vital information, and it makes the movie better.
You just don't know how important some of the scenes are in Part 3 of the movie later on in Cobra Kai until you watch them. You just don't know the connections and what leads up to everything. It's
as bad as that villain, whose name was Terry Silver, as bad as he was.
That smirk he always had on his face. I just want to reach into the screen and just
It's like he was acting in a totally different movie.
Yeah.
And then you had Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita doing their classic Miyagi and LaRusso bit.
Yep.
And they were really grounded, and they were awesome.
Yeah.
It's
Silver is like a cross between Casino and Scarface in a children's movie.
Yeah. It's awful, but the important part of the storyline with Daniel's son feeling like he has to go to Cobra Kai for help.
Yeah.
It's all very important to the Cobra Kai TV series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that scene where he's training actually plays a bigger role later on when you watch Cobra Kai. You don't understand it until all of a sudden you find out where Daniel LaRusso really was, in a dark place. Miyagi's still teaching, but from a distance. You don't realize it.
That's right. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into Cobra Kai, the series available on Netflix.
I hope they come out with a cereal. Cobra Kai the cereal. That'd be biblical.
Jim Deezy.
Hey, the big guy. Hey, did you hear the news?
I was going to ask you. I was just hearing everyone's talking about this Buzzsprout.
Yeah. Listen, we do a podcast.
We do.
A lot of people want to do a podcast, but
tons.
there's no other way to do your podcast without using Buzzsprout.
It'd be stupid to not use Buzzsprout.
They are legit with helping you start your podcast and getting your platform out there to everybody. Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, maybe SiriusXM one day. Who knows?
Maybe. They can even get you on Amazon's new podcast service, part of Amazon Music. And if you pay for 2 months of Buzzsprout, you're going to get a $20 Amazon gift card that you can use for stuff at Amazon. It's amazing. We all know. So if you want to start a podcast, all you have to do is click on the link in the show notes attached to this very episode. Follow that link, sign up, enjoy Buzzsprout, do your own thing.
Yes.
If you had to do it again, what kind of podcast would you do?
Yeah, we might go way down the other end of the spectrum, but we'd probably have to change our identities.
Yeah, that's the beauty of our podcast. We don't talk politics and religion.
No politics, no religion. But you know what? Buzzsprout will get you out there. And that's the whole point of a podcast.
Jim Deezy.
Woo, that was a good coffee break, man.
You're Jim Deezy. I'm the big guy. This is Talkin Baloney. And that is a Dunkin' Donuts mug?
Well, it's a DD mug. They don't call it, remember, they're not Dunkin' Donuts anymore. They're...
What's the other D stand for?
I just double D now, I guess. Double D.
I don't know if that's a good look.
I don't know. They doesn't sound like they're going PG rated anymore.
There's still one movie to talk about before we dive into the show.
Yep.
The Next Karate Kid from 1994. This is Hilary Swank.
Yep.
One of her breakout roles as the next student for Mr. Miyagi.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
Okay, folks. You've heard me say it many times last year. I'm going to go ahead and say it for 2021. My first time saying trash.
You are correct, sir.
Yes. The worst damn movie. Well, listen, and you know me, I'm not a fan of the Will Smith's son playing the one karate movie, but hands down better than the Karate Kid Part 4.
Yeah. So for the sake of this discussion, I was going to ignore the Jackie Chan Karate Kid remake.
Yeah.
Just because by the very nature of it, it kind of doesn't fit in with Cobra Kai, so I don't think it's going to have any factor. I do feel like this next Karate Kid, though, could somehow evolve Cobra Kai, the TV series, at some point. We just saw Elizabeth Shue make a return. Is it possible in season 4 we could see Hilary Swank?
You know, I thought about this. I could see Hilary Swank coming back in another season of Cobra Kai due to all the girls now that are fighting as well. And she could be like a mentor or maybe even a bad guy. You never know.
Well, remember in the movie, she plays the granddaughter of the war hero that was best friends with Mr. Miyagi. So there's Mr. Miyagi was almost like a grandfather to her. So there is a connection there. I kind of would like to see her.
Yeah, I could see her coming back as a bad guy though. Just maybe like me. Hey, Miyagi took you took all of Mr. Miyagi's time. I never had a chance to, be a granddaughter to him. That kind of a thing, man. I'm not saying I could write for this show, but I'm saying my ideas are pretty darn good.
Well, I'll say this. I don't know, like a straight up bad guy, but being someone who has a conflict, like you're saying, maybe she wants to claim Miyagi-Do as like her ancestral rights as being a closer relative, perhaps, than LaRusso is to Miyagi. Cobra Kai, the series, it picks up how many years after the original?
Was it 30 years?
It's been 30?
20-something years? Is it 20-something years?
Man, it is. It is like 35, probably. Not that I do the math.
Never my specialty. That's why I got married, so I could ask Melly Mel's how to add. Subtract.
So in Cobra Kai, the series starts following the life of Johnny Lawrence, the Cobra Kai student from the first movie, and kind of it shows over the course of a couple episodes what he's up to and how his life was forever changed by that crane kick from Daniel LaRusso at the All Valley tournament in 1984.
And you don't understand how important this crane kick is until you watch Cobra Kai. It's not just about the kick.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot going on behind that kick. And where he's on top of the world, and then that kick happens, and then he's down to the bottom. And that's exactly how they open Cobra Kai.
Yeah, and it's like the ramifications affected the rest of his life. And what the series does so great is it shows you that, and then around the third or fourth episode, it shows you Daniel LaRusso and where he is. And you see like how far his life has gone thanks to the kick and how he's still famous for it 35 years later.
And folks, if I had to put this in perspective so some of our wrestling listeners understand, this would be like Daniel LaRusso is Ted DiBiase and Johnny is now Virgil.
Okay.
Okay, you get it now? Like money, 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 and I'm just the bodyguard. I do side jobs.
So we can talk openly about seasons 1 and 2, I think.
Yes.
We'll avoid spoilers on season 3.
All right.
We'll give our viewers a few more days to dive in. It is still a fairly new release, and some people don't stay up all night the first night or two to watch it all like we did.
I stayed up till the whole season was done. And then I was craving more when it was over. I was like, what am I going to do? I was like a crack fiend looking for my next hit.
Yeah. I can't argue with that because I went back and watched the original movies because I wanted more.
I was scratching. I was like, when's the next season coming out?
I watched that Hilary Swank movie.
Yeah, who does that?
Trash. So tell us about Cobra Kai, that first season, how Johnny Lawrence gets back into karate.
So basically, he runs in it. It's kind of like there's a parallel between the seasons and the movies. I've noticed that. And I think they do it by design. But I think same thing again. In Cobra Kai season 1, he runs into Daniel LaRusso again. Just kind of like the way they ran into each other in Karate Kid 1. And all of a sudden he's like, he sees how successful Daniel LaRusso is. He all of a sudden has a student. He has a possible student. And it starts churning. Like, he's like, I got unfinished business. And, he goes against... Go ahead.
To be more exact, you talk about the parallels to the first movie. In the first movie, Mr. Miyagi is in the apartment building where Daniel LaRusso is, and he sees LaRusso getting bullied and helps him.
Yep.
In this series, we see
Johnny,
new kid in town, Miguel Diaz, getting beat up, and Johnny Lawrence, not the in the apartment building, and a drunk and a loser, but he comes to the defense of the kid, just like Mr. Miyagi, and forms that same kind of bond.
Yeah. And it's crazy because you sit and you watch this movie and you're just what's weird about season 1 was it pulled me into the point that all of a sudden I was like, yo, I like Johnny. This is my guy. And I could feel that from the episode 1 of Cobra Kai. You could just feel that Johnny was going to be something special, that character in the movie, in the show.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I found myself in season 1 saying, man, I don't really like Daniel LaRusso anymore. I remember watching season 1. I remember calling you and I'm like, yeah, Daniel LaRusso's kind of a dick.
Yeah. And like you're saying, that's the beauty of the show is they made Johnny Lawrence the hero. And you didn't like Daniel LaRusso at first because you were seeing it from Johnny's perspective. Mm-hmm. You saw how he got everything and Johnny had everything taken away.
Yeah. And I will say, like, Daniel LaRusso, no pun intended here, is the best heel ever. Like, and I don't mean a heel with a spinning kick. I mean, he's the best heel bad guy. Without even, he's a good guy,
right?
But he's a heel. Because you're sitting back going, man, Johnny's got nothing. He's eating drinking leftover beer out of cans, and he's a drunk. He probably should be in AA.
But the beauty of it is because you have the movies and you know Daniel LaRusso's backstory.
Yep.
You know why he hates Johnny.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't forgotten what happened in the first movie.
Right.
And even though Johnny has kind of changed, LaRusso still sees him as the bully and the Cobra Kai guy who strikes first.
Yeah.
And just has no forgiveness for him.
And, it's almost like Johnny is not just fighting his internal demons in this movie. He's trying to win over Daniel LaRusso's approval. You almost get that vibe from it in the movie. And I'm telling you, man, this is some of the best writing, hands down, I've seen. And I'm not a critic. I'm not hey, I'm a writer. I'm a language guy. I'm this, I'm that. Listen, I'm just Joe Schmo, Jim Kesey on Talkin Baloney telling you, man, this is some of the damn best writing I've ever seen.
Do you call yourself Joe Schmo?
Joe Schmo.
So the other aspect, we talked about Miguel Diaz being the Daniel LaRusso-like teenage character that Johnny trains. Mm-hmm. Well, there's another teenage character that LaRusso starts to train, Robbie Keane.
Yep.
Who turns out is actually the son of Johnny Lawrence and estranged from him.
Yeah, and
no one seems to know the connection.
Yeah, and the curveballs just keep flying in season 1. I mean, you don't see any of them coming, and then you find out, like, oh, okay, this is Johnny's kid. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you're like, now your gears are turning, like, okay, they're not going to have any kind of relationship. You can almost tell. And they, it's going to be, now Johnny's fighting the demons of, I got to try to win Daniel's approval. I'm trying to win my kid's approval. And I'm fighting, all these other things going on. Dude,
and he connects with this other kid, Miguel, who he didn't want to train, but now he finds out he really does need to train him. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot going on.
That scene where he gives Miguel his robe,
Yeah.
Or his, what do they call it? The suit.
gi.
The gi. Where he hands him the gi and then his real son sees it. Whew. That's a moment right there.
This is a show that whole first season is just building. It's like every episode adds to the story, and then the pieces start to click together, and it's fantastic.
It's almost like you're watching a giant onion, and they're peeling back layers every episode.
Yeah.
And you're like, they're making one hell of a sautéed dish, you can tell. And it's just going to, when they finally get down to the... But I will tell you this. On top of great storytelling, and on top of all the other characters and stuff going on, Season 1, Season 2, and I'm even going to say Season 3, the best soundtracks I've ever... Some of the best soundtracks.
Yeah.
And some of the... Like Season 1... And I won't say anything about the other seasons, but Season 1, like, the scenes with LaRusso and Johnny in the car.
Yeah.
Comedy gold. Without even trying.
And I think that's part of the show. People going into it, if they haven't seen it, it's actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's very dramatic at times. Season 1 features the return to the All Valley Conference, just like the first movie.
Yep.
Which is excellent. Season 2 kind of takes things outside of the tournament.
Yeah.
And we start to see the karate fights take place anywhere and everywhere.
Balls count anywhere. It's like watching a pay-per-view, but with like badass kids.
Yeah. And we talk about, like, we haven't mentioned him yet, but the character of Hawk.
One of my favorites.
Yeah. Here's a kid with a cleft lip or a scar in his lip, and he's picked on and he's bullied. And thanks to Cobra Kai and the teachings of John Kreese, he shows up with a red mohawk and just a kick-ass personality, and it becomes one of the main characters of the show.
And to quote him, his character's badass.
Yeah.
And you know what? The only thing that irritates me about Hawk's character is he reminds me a lot of Mad Dog when we were little kids. He was that scrawny, skinny kid. You just wanted to kick the crap out of him every time you saw him. But at the end, you're always like, he got that lucky shot in on me, and he got me. You know, like, hit me in the nads or something, and next thing you know, I'm on the ground. But every single character in Season 1 and Season 2 and beyond each character is there for a reason. There's a story being told with every one of them. It's not like they just threw in an extra here, an extra there. Every single one of them are telling their own story in the show. And you just don't see that. You don't see that. And like the last time I've seen that, and outside of even The Office, would probably be like maybe Friends, you know, where everybody had their relationship or their character and stuff like that. This is a throwback, man.
Well, and, you know, the advantage of being a streaming show, I believe, so the show started on YouTube. It was a YouTube original. You had to subscribe to YouTube Premium to watch it. Not many people did that. YouTube Premium ditches the show, Netflix picks it up, and all of a sudden it's a huge hit.
Yeah, I bet
3 seasons.
YouTube's like, hey, look at us now, jerk.
So the first 3 seasons were all part of that original YouTube pact. The next season, Season 4, will be the first one that Netflix actually produced.
Ooh, the budget money.
Yeah. You expect, okay, the budget's going to increase. The idea of, okay, we only had Elizabeth Shue for 2 episodes out of 3 seasons. Maybe she'll be there for more. Maybe Hilary Swank will show up. There's no telling what they can do in Season 4, and I can't wait.
You know, there's with Netflix budget, hell, they might bring back Miyagi in CGI. I'm just saying, man. The characters and LaRusso's daughter character is probably that's a surprise character for me. Like at first, I think she's just going to be one of these prissy. We got a lot of money, you know, driving the Audi to school, blah blah blah, and then she turns out to be somewhat of a badass.
Yeah, she. When we first see her, she's like anti-karate. And then we learned later that she had been training with Daniel's son and kind of got away from it, but she comes back to it in a big way.
I like that his wife is quirky. She has that, she kind of runs the business while he does his thing. She's very supportive of his, what he wants to do and that he wants to train these kids and stuff like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I do like that she kind of runs the show. She kind of keeps everybody in line, and there's a lot going on. And, Johnny's character of getting into a relationship, possibly, all these different things going into the next seasons and stuff. You just don't, some of the stuff you just don't see coming. And when season 2 wrapped, that last episode,
that was a big cliffhanger.
They threw everything but the kitchen. They threw the kitchen sink and everything at you in that episode.
Definitely. So we're gonna take a break. Baloney Nation.
Man, that is a killer soundtrack. It really does rock. It gets the blood flowing, the heart pumping.
Kind of reminds you of the Karate Kid music a little.
In a way, yes, it does.
Yeah. So it's time for Baloney Nation. This is where we answer comments and questions from our viewers, courtesy the Baloney Nation hotline, 585-484-1770.
Okay.
And we got a question for you, Jim. Are you a Simpsons fan, before I ask?
So I've watched The Simpsons. It's to a point now. It's like I've seen everything that they have to offer. I will say this though, how the Simpsons have predicted everything that's happened in this world.
Yeah,
I just don't get it. Like,
I guess it goes to show, like if you do a cartoon for 30 years, eventually everything you do is going to happen. Yeah.
That's about the extent of The Simpsons I ever got into. I mean, I maybe watched the first 5 years when it came out, but that's pretty much been about it. I haven't watched them since.
Yeah, I think I watched a little longer than you. I probably did the first 9 seasons before I gave up.
When did the Bartman song come out?
Well, that was right off the bat.
Oh, was it? All right, that's about the extent of my Simpsons right there. Do the Bartman.
Do the Bartman. So our first question is, what should the final episode of The Simpsons be? Now, as far as I know, they haven't announced a final episode. They've been on for 31 years, I think.
I got a perfect ending for them.
Go ahead.
Simpsons moves to South Park.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think they, they usually say The Simpsons did it, and that is an expression that actually comes from South Park, because they did a South Park episode where everything the kids did, someone said, well, The Simpsons already did it. And then I think a South Park version of The Simpsons showed up on South Park. So
all right, so
South Park did it.
Yeah, they already did it. I don't know then. I guess, maybe have them. I don't know how you would end there. How would you end that? Like, maybe Homer dies?
That's a good way to end a cartoon. Do you remember the show The Dinosaurs?
Yes.
They were like big puppets. They weren't cartoons. It was like a puppet show. It was on ABC. It was like a sitcom. It was
I remember that show. I remember it.
The final episode, when they got canceled, they actually had it start to get really cold, and then it was basically the start of the Ice Age. So you basically knew what they were saying is that everyone on the show was about to die. And that was probably the darkest ending I think I've ever seen a kid show do.
Yeah.
Killing Homer Simpson would probably be darker, though.
I'm just saying. Or Marge. I mean...
Oh. Maybe Bart dies of a drug overdose, or...
make it, COVID. Next question.
Our next question.
A little too hot under the collar on this one.
Yeah. So a viewer wants to get your opinion on these wrestlers. So I'll name a wrestler and you just give me your quick thoughts.
Okay.
Taz.
Traitor.
A traitor because he went to AEW?
Yes. Actually, Taz was one of my... I used to love Taz. I used to love his finisher, that... what they call his little like sleeper hold thing that he used to do.
They called it the Taz Mission in WWE.
Yeah, the Taz Mission. Yeah. But, I have seen him on, I get it. He can't really wrestle much anymore, so, he needs a paycheck. So, but traitor.
All right. And you don't have to give, like, what they're currently doing an opinion on. You can give, like, an overall career. So, you used to like him, is what you're saying.
Yeah. ECW. Die Hard.
All right. Fit Finley.
He had the scepter he used to carry, right? He used to beat people with it.
It was a shillelagh. It was like a wooden stick.
That's the shillelagh.
Yes.
That's all I remember him for.
Yeah.
And Hornswoggle.
It's kind of funny. He was like a famous brawler and a famous wrestler, and then he came to WWE, and they kind of made him into a little bit of a joke. But as famous as he was for maybe his wrestling skills, I never really thought he was that entertaining myself.
No, I didn't either. Until he was with Hornswoggle.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega.
So, I've watched some of Kenny Omega in New Japan.
Yes.
Kenny Omega.
Definitely.
Period. I don't like any of the stuff they got him doing right now. I mean, I get the little angle thing they're doing right now in AEW, and that's it had my interest peaked, and I've watched some of it.
Yeah.
I just don't get. It's an up and coming show, and the other show is kind of like a D-rated show more so than anything. Right. I don't get it.
I will say Kenny Omega was a disappointment in AEW until recently. I think he's really shining with his heel turn. I love his entrance with the girls in like the 80s aerobics outfits coming out with the brooms and sweeping. And I love his entrance and his over-the-top promos. And I like the reuniting with the Good Brothers.
Yeah. The
old former Bullet Club in Japan.
Cease and desist.
That's right.
You can't do this. We'll get our letter from WWE tomorrow. Oh, shit. Sorry, my bad. Scrub it. Wait a minute. In Kenny Omega fashion, let's clean it.
That's right. The cleaner.
The cleaner. Kenny Omega, New Japan Pro Wrestling, the best wrestler on the planet. Period.
Yeah. I think he still is. I think he's getting back to that. His match this past week with Rey Fenix was really good.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'd still like to see him in WWE.
It'd be interesting.
Yep.
Next on the list, as this list is all over the place in terms of time period, is Men on a Mission.
I have no idea who that is.
You don't know Men on a Mission? Mo and Mabel, who was later Big Viscera.
Oh, Viscera. Big Daddy V.
Yeah. They were Men on a Mission. They used to rap.
Okay. So, one word for that would be forgotten.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so there was Mo, Oscar, who only rapped, and Mabel, who was Big Vis. So they were Men on a Mission, and their initials were also Mo, Oscar, and Mabel, M-O-M. Yeah, forgotten is a good description.
Screenshot.
How about Tommy Dreamer?
Instant icon. He is what do they call him? The hardcore legend, the king of hardcore.
Innovator of violence.
Innovator of violence, yes. And I know he does. Listen, Tommy Dreamer does more putting over younger talent than probably anybody I know in wrestling. He is all about up-and-coming talent and keeping the business alive. And, pushing the little shows and the little guys and stuff like that, man. Not giving, I give all the props in the world to Busted Open because they bring a lot of attention to pro wrestling and something that, man, if you're a pro wrestling fan, you don't know who Busted Open is and Dave LaGreca and all those guys, you're stupid. You really are.
Or you don't have Sirius XM.
Oh yeah, that's true too. But they have a podcast.
Well, that's true. I guess you can listen that way.
If you watched ECW and you didn't watch Tommy Dreamer and Sandman and Sabu and all those guys,
yeah,
when Paul Heyman still had hair and a ponytail and a black leather jacket.
So I met Tommy Dreamer. This is back in the Fox TV days in Corning, Elmira. And WWE was coming to town, and we did a win lunch with a WWE Superstar contest. And I went along on the lunch to film it because, we needed video of it. Mm-hmm. The contest winners got to have lunch with Tommy Dreamer and Ivory. And we went to Legends Sports Bar in Elmira Heights. Mm-hmm. Real high-quality place.
Oh, yeah. Top notch. Couldn't take them to, did we have an Applebee's then?
Well, it's funny, Pierce's was kitty corner from there, which is the nicest restaurant in town. And we went to the sports bar. Yeah. Tommy Dreamer ordered 2 pieces of grilled chicken. That was his meal. Nothing else. He was you could tell he was in WWE finally, and he wanted to stay there, and he wanted to stay in good shape.
I don't see Tommy Dreamer really, he is very articulate about how he says stuff, too. And he's probably one of the guys that I like, besides Bully Ray on Busted Open. Dave LaGreca and his rants just cracks me up. His pineapple pizza segment that he does about who the hell puts pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
Classic, instant classic. They got something going there, and that's great, man. But Tommy Dreamer, he's part of that. He was what makes that show for me.
Next on the list, we got 3 more names. Kevin Sullivan.
Wait, isn't he the asshole? Or am I thinking of a different guy from NXT? No. Yeah, it is Kevin Sullivan, isn't it?
Kevin Sullivan is from the 1980s WCW. He was married to Woman, and then Chris Benoit stole Woman away from him.
Yes, okay. Yeah, still a jerk.
Yeah. Next on the list, Buff Bagwell.
Buff the stuff. That's all I'm going to say. And I heard he's kind of a jerk outside of wrestling.
Yeah, we actually had Scotty Bender on this show, and he told a story of the time the WrestleVision crew, myself, Scotty Bender, Ivan the Impaler, met Buff Bagwell, and he was a drunken mess, probably on drugs, and he almost picked a fight with Ivan the Impaler, and it had to be broken up by myself and Scott Stewart, a pitcher from the Buffalo Bisons. So, Buff really is the stuff.
He buffs on the stuff, more like it.
The final name on the list, and I can tell you're probably not a big Southern wrestling guy, but the Midnight Express. They were managed by Jim Cornette.
Jim Cornette, the old tennis racket.
Yes.
Listen, they were the Midnight Express. They were the Rockers before they were the Rockers.
You might be thinking of the Rock and Roll Express.
Or yeah, Rock and Roll Express. They kind of set the groundwork for him, didn't they?
Yeah, the Rock and Roll Express had a long feud with the Midnight Express. The Midnight Express was Dennis Condrey and Beautiful Bobby Eaton.
Beautiful Bobby.
Who had the best blonde mullet in the history of wrestling, I think. All right. That's awesome. That wraps up the names on the list.
You know what? I will say this about Buff Bagwell, because I don't want people to think we're crapping on him. He did have an awesome top hat.
Yes. Speaking of Buff came to Rochester a few times. Mm-hmm. And he was actually on the card with Brodie Lee.
Oh, yes.
This brings us to the saddest news of our 2-week hiatus. Is Brodie Lee passed away.
Yeah. And, shout out to his family and all of his fans. And, you yourself, man, you worked with him in the past. And, it's sad for everybody's loss, man. He was a Rochester native, man. He was from our area. Somebody that made it big. He paid his dues. He made it big. He got out of this town but he came back. And he never forgot where he came from. And
one of the coolest things was, even when he moved to Tampa and he lived in Tampa, when he showed up and they announced him on All Elite Wrestling, Mr. Brodie Lee from Rochester, New York. Mm-hmm. He never forgot where he was from. He was a great guy. I'm wearing my Bludgeon Brothers t-shirt.
Yeah.
As we speak.
I will say that, Luke Harper was my favorite character on TV. And I will say one of my favorite wrestlers on TV, even the stuff he did with the Bludgeon, with the Bludgeon Brothers and stuff. But I will say this, man, I watched videos of Brodie Lee from when you were with him doing the WrestleVision stuff. And
yeah,
dude, he was leagues ahead of everybody else. And he never, in any of those videos that I ever watched, it wasn't always about him. He was always about making the guy in the ring with him better and putting somebody over if he had to do it. And
if you want to hear more about him, if you go to rocksportsnow.com, there's an article written by superstar Rob Schultz where he has his memories of growing up with Brodie Lee. He was friends with him from childhood. Mm-hmm. There's old photos. There's a lot of good stuff there about Brodie Lee.
Great article.
All right. That's a show.
I only wish I would have got a chance to get that choke slam.
Yes, there was a time where I was doing Pure 6 Wrestling, and Brodie Lee was the big bad guy, and I was looking for a fan that it wasn't going to be a choke slam. He was going to do his famous big boot, and you were all lined up to take it.
I was the volunteer. I wanted it.
And what happened?
Melly Mouse put the kibosh on there. He said our insurance isn't going to cover you being in a chair the rest of your life, and she's probably right. But
there's definitely some truth to that. Yeah.
If I could have went around in life and said I got my spine broke by Brodie Lee, come on, I made it.
Yes, I'm in a wheelchair, but did you see how cool it was?
Yeah, I sold the shit out of that.
You're still selling it.
Yeah. No, but I will say this, man. One of my favorite wrestlers on TV, man. I know he was near and dear to the entire Rochester community and his outreach. Listen, he had fans all over the world. We all know that. We saw the videos and the tributes and stuff. But, man, you guys in Rochester, you particularly, you guys all gone way too soon, man. Gone way too soon. But he made his mark.
Yeah. And you feel bad that his two young sons. Hope for the best, and I think All Elite Wrestling has been doing above and beyond to take care of them, and they've been doing so much for little Brodie, making him feel special. Everyone's selling for him. If you've seen the videos online, he's beating up every wrestler they have, and it's pretty awesome.
And he's even beating up WWE guys. And I will say this, and this is be my only take that I'll say about it. AEW did probably one of the best tribute shows I've ever seen. WWE did their own thing, but all the people making it about AEW versus WWE, guys, there's a time and a place for everything, and that wasn't it.
No, not at all.
Yep.
All right. That's a Talkin Baloney 2021 special edition right there.
Hell yeah. Give me a hell yeah. I'm telling you, this year, I'll tell our fans this right now, we are going to bring it this year.
Yeah. That was our New Year's resolution for 2021, our plan is we're going to bring it.
We're going to bring it. And we want to hear your feedback. We need some engagement from our community. What do you guys want to hear? What do you want us to talk about? Where do you want us to go visit when we can finally leave the house?
I think people want to see the inside of this camper that you're in.
You know what? Maybe one of these weeks we'll do a trip around the inside.
Ooh. This is going to be a big year.
Yeah, it's going to be biblical, man. They'll be writing books about this in 20 years and teaching it in school.
Yeah, 20 years there'll be a Talkin Baloney series on Netflix, and all these episodes of Baloney Now will mean much more 20 years from now because it'll be backstory.
And, I do want to say this and reaffirm this to our entire Talkin Baloney Nation. This show is going to stand by we do not discuss politics or religion. Maybe I blurred the area a little bit towards the end of the year last year. No, not anymore.
It's hard to not get caught up, but we want to be that oasis for everyone to get away from politics. Let's talk wrestling and movies and TV shows and
80s and 90s and 80s and 90s toys and movies and music and
Jim's gonna watch Star Wars. I mean, we should all be happy.
Let's think about this, folks. I hate Star Wars, and I'm gonna give it a shot this year because it's a brand new year, and I've been opened up to the light. The light, literally. There's 2 lights all around me. And I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to go back and watch them. And I'm going to report back to the big guy and let him know what I find.
Yeah. And maybe after that, Harry Potter.
Yeah, probably never a chance for Harry Potter. No.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I wouldn't do it.
Fake. Who carries a wooden stick with magic? Come on.
You never see that anywhere.
Next thing you know, there'll be trolls under the bridge down the road. Come on.
Have you been to Gibson? Well, we gotta go. Great show, right. Jim Deezy.
Great show, big guy. And to our Talkin Baloney Nation, man. You guys, stay classy. It's a new year. Come on. Set a goal.
Keep rocking it, Rochester.
Hell yeah.